two very sweet street dogs over there, taking shelter from the sun. It's a gorgeous day in the shade, but very hot in the sun. And I was digging around in my bag. Did I have any croquetas, cereal, biscuits? Nothing to give them. You do what you can, you know. I've just made 3 shorts about the attempt to help in Mexico, where so many people are poor and so many people are very happy. Overall, the standard of happiness in Mexico is way higher than the U.S. But people work real hard. They hustle. So many people have about 3 gigs they're working to try to put food on the table. And dogs in Mexico have dramatically more freedom than in the U.S., where in cities they're on leashes all the time, which is a pitiful life for a dog. I've been real poor myself for several months because of auto problems, mechanical problems with my camper van, my casa. I'm house poor. 3 months in El Diamante, a little 400-person pueblo right by the coast, where I just poured money every month into the mechanic, who I think really knew what he was doing. Finally had to replace the engine altogether. It was super expensive, and I think they didn't do a good job. He handed it off to one of his henchmen, who the car isn't running right at all. So I've chosen this month to not do what looks to be very expensive repairs again, which gives me some money in my pocket. So this morning, up in the beautiful neighborhood up on the hill, it's a 20-minute easy walk down to Las Trancas business section, where this Coppel store right behind me has a fabulous Wi-Fi where I can load my videos dramatically faster than any place I've been, and a very happy staff. And just down the road down there is an OXXO store, convenience store, which is the happiest store I've ever seen. They laugh all day. And it was there that I discovered Francisco, who I did 2 short videos earlier. He's sitting in front of the church over there in his hot coat, which he won't take off. He's pretty drunk today. And a kid pushing a push cart was going to help me move him to the shade, but then he decided he couldn't leave his push cart, and I couldn't do it by myself. So he's sitting there crying with a little money from me. I gave him a drinkable yogurt so he'd have something in his stomach, and got him some water. It was all I could do. The Buddhists have a concept called the Great Heart of Sadness, and the way they describe it is you're standing by the river and your children have, oh shit, your children have fallen in the river and you have no arms. And that's what it's like, you know. If you really open your heart, it can be dreadfully painful because there's so much suffering around us all. Most people lead lives of quiet desperation. Who was it, Thoreau, who said that, or somebody? Most people do live relatively tiny lives. I've been gifted with a huge life the last 4 years after a lot of suffering before that, and living my best life. And this month, because I'm not doing my car repairs, I have money for biscuits and cereal and doing my best. And when people say, well, you know, you're broke, why are you spending money on croquetas? Well, because I can, I want to. These 3 dogs in El Diamante, I adopted 3 street dogs, each of whom had a part-time home. But there was a culture in that little pueblo of no one would touch a dog. They all had different reasons. They would not touch a dog. And so the reason those dogs got so attached to me, yeah, it was because I fed them. But even more, even when they weren't hungry, they'd come chasing me because I would pet them. And they adored it. Oh my God. I tried to hire a young woman who was the exception. I saw her petting the dogs. And she was gonna 3 days a week come into town and walk them, because I take them for long walks out in the country, and pet them. But she was 14. She was 14, and she stood me up for our business meeting. And you know, what was I thinking? I was going to have create a business contract for her to do that for a month, and then she'd get hooked and just continue to do it. No, so that fell through. So it broke my heart to leave those dogs. That was the hardest part about leaving El Diamante, when finally my car was mobile. And I came up here to Jalapa, which is The opposite. It's a 600,000 person town up in the mountains. Very progressive. Extremely progressive town. Great daily newspaper. And there's some pretty great politics going on in Mexico. Women making huge strides in this country. And people proud of their democracy compared with what's going on in so much of Latin America and what's going on in the U.S. What a shit show that is, huh? So happy to be here. I'm happy. I'm happier and happier and happier and happier. And that gives me a little extra slack to let my heart be broken. The kids are unbelievable in Mexico. Everyone in Mexico. Parents dote on their kids, and they do. He's showing. Look, he's petting the dog, showing the kid that you can pet the dog. Hi. Yeah, a lot of good things going on in Mexico, and the people are happy. They're poor but happy. They laugh, they dance. I'm learning so much about how to be a person from being around Latino folks who are amazing. And you know, the U.S., we have all our prejudices against Latinos, spics, wetbacks, migrants, gonna destroy our country. We destroyed their country, folks. I'll put a link to a podcast about what we did in the 1800s to Mexico to create the situation where the poor people had to leave their land and come north looking for work. We did that. And so many of the other South American countries, Guatemala having a terrible time trying to get back to democracy. Well, it was our money that supported the right-wing dictator and the military who systematically killed the indigenous people. That was our money. Yeah, back in the 80s and 90s. So we own it. We own them. We own them. And if Mexicans now and Venezuelans and other people want to try to live out a dream and come to a place where they could be safe, so many of them are leaving because they're not safe. Don't listen to the Republicans who say it's our country. We're going to make it great by not letting anybody else in, as if we weren't all immigrants, right? I'm third generation Irish. And in the Rio Grande Valley, which is 90% Latino over on the Texas side, a lot of those people have been there for 5 or 6 generations before it was the U.S. Back when Texas was Mexico, before we took it. You know, we did to Mexico what Russia is trying to do to Ukraine. We did. That was us. Yeah.